Well, welcome, Chrissy, to the podcast. It's so great to have you on.
Hi, Cassie. It's so good to be here. I'm gonna say
Well,
that
I
again.
am I am particularly pumped about this episode because all my guests thus far have been the best way to put it is in those traditional expected science roles, right? And you have such a cool story of that sort of being your beginning of what you intended. And then you took a big pivot in your career and are sort of in
Yeah.
this adjacent support role. And I'm curious, we'll first talk about what it is that you do and whether you still see yourself as a STEM professional, as a scientist, or if that shifted at all. And so tell us a little bit about how you identify now and what that means to those of us that aren't familiar.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. It's so good to be here. I am, I do consider myself a chemist still. I got my PhD in chemistry. Um, I am now, though, I wear a lot of hats. I'm a somatic empowerment coach and I'm a consultant. So those are the things I actually do to make money, which is not chemistry. Um, yeah, so I am an organizational change consultant. I have been doing that work since I graduated with my PhD in chemistry. And that really entails a framework that I developed during my PhD and implementing that in science organizations. So it basically takes an organization through the process of understanding their community, the pain points that are hindering belonging and inclusion and community support, and then using that data in a really structured and tailored way to make small incremental changes in the community to help, yeah, create more inclusion in the workplace. And I do that work with science departments, science organizations, small tech companies. Yeah, really any science organization who's looking for a shift in their workplace culture. And the reason I became a somatic empowerment coach, which I'm sure we can talk more about, is because change, as I'm sure you know, is really hard, not just in an organization, but like internally in an individual. I think a lot of people um, tend to feel discomfort when things shift in their lives or when they're trying to repair with another person or like repair something harmful in their community. And so I bring in the somatic piece around like, how can I support people in their individual journey in their change trajectory for their organization or as a leader. Um, so those are the two, I guess, big umbrella scopes of my work. Yeah.
Well, I love it because a lot of times when we think about some of the challenges our young professionals are facing, there's the systemic problems that come at the organizational level, but there's also internal responsibilities and how
Yeah.
we approach our workplace. And it sounds like you're tackling both those things from both angles, which is so powerful because it can be really disheartening if you're doing a lot of internal change, but you're in a system that's not very
Yeah.
supportive, and vice versa. It could be frustrating for an
Yeah.
organization if the individuals aren't doing their part in the
Yeah.
culture change. Can you tell us
Yeah.
a little bit more about what somatic coaching really is? How
Yeah.
is that different than the coaching we may be familiar with?
Yeah. Totally. So the word somatic comes from the stem soma, which means the living body in its wholeness. It really is like everything that the body encompasses, which includes the brain. But it's like, how do you respond to situations where in your body are you holding emotions or tension or discomfort? How does your body react in certain situations? And a lot of the ways that I access that information is not just through like talking about stressors or talking about things that are coming up as hardships in life. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm feeling this emotion. I don't necessarily know why. And so, like, we kind of dive a little deeper into the physical sensations in the body instead of just talking about the emotion, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really powerful because I think myself included, like, I was in talk therapy for so long and it was really helpful. And there was also a point at which I was like, I know the pattern and I'm doing it again. And why is it happening? Because my
Mm-hmm.
body is the one responding to the pattern more so than my brain. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a little bit of this type of coaching before as a coachee.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really eye-opening for me to see how my body, my mind, my heart, my soul, all of it connects. And I
Yeah.
realized that I hold a lot of tension in my jaw.
Mm.
And so when I was feeling stressed or anxious or, just, man, I need to take a deep breath, it wasn't the deep breath that helped me. It was that it's forcing my jaw to
Yeah.
relax and let go of the tension. And
Mm-hmm.
that helped a lot. And so for those that I work with too, that they hold their tension in a different place,
Mm-hmm.
that deep breathing may or may not help depending on where that tension's held. And
Yeah.
so that experience was really eye-opening to me, that I could help get my mind back on track by changing something physically.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good example. It's so true. We all hold so much tension in like a few key points in our body, and the jaw is one of them. It's like
Yeah.
just yawning too can be really helpful. Like, instead of a
Yep.
deep breath, like take a yawn.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
good. Well, I can't even predict what your day must look like, because it sounds like you're working for yourself, that you
hmm.
have your own business with these two
Yeah.
branches in it. And so I don't know if it's easier to talk about a typical day or a typical week.
Mm.
So I'll leave that
Mm.
up to you.
Yeah. So let's talk about a typical week. I do work remotely, so everything I do is for the most part on Zoom, unless I have like a consulting client visit, which yeah, I would then travel. Otherwise, all my work is online, and I usually front load non-client facing work. So like Mondays and Tuesdays, I'll be mostly doing logistics or like doing back end client product, like deliverables or production. And then Wednesday through Friday, I have in-person client meetings. And I really like that because I think the thing I enjoy the most about my job is the human connection and like
Mm.
being able to support the people behind the organizations. So I love ending my week with that. Yeah,
So
great.
you already mentioned something that you enjoy about your
Mhm.
job, and what you do now. Can you
Mhm.
give us a little bit more detail, maybe about what it is about those client interactions that you're finding so rewarding?
Yeah. Um, that's such a good question. There's, I think, two big aspects of what I find really rewarding with clients. So, in my organizational work, one of the best parts of working with a client long term is that I get to witness change. And I guess that is at the organization level, but also at the personal level. Um, I get to experience and like participate in transformation. And when I work one on one with my coaching clients, I get to hold space for them, support them, like moving through something challenging or amplifying something great in their life, either one, and just like experiencing the outcomes of that and watching them become closer and closer to the thriving life that they want is just like so juicy and amazing. And then in an organization, I get to basically do the same thing. I get to watch the dynamics between groups of people that I work with change and like understand from a data perspective, like what's going on, how we can shift the pain points and address areas for growth. And like that's really rewarding. And I
Mm.
think getting to know the people behind, how we all kind of picture science as this like big machine that just runs, like getting to see the people and the processes behind that is really cool.
Oh,
So,
that is so
yeah.
true. I mean, I'll never forget the day I'm walking through the grocery store. I
Yeah.
was a grad student teacher at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and one of my students saw me in the store
Mm-hmm.
like I might as well have been a cheetah in the
Yeah.
middle of Michigan, because they were like, "What are you doing here?" Right? And I'm like, "Well, I'm human and I eat too,
Yeah.
you know?" So
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
that's so true, is bringing the humanness,
Yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
behind the science is really important.
Yeah.
And I think us scientists being more in touch with those elements will help
Yeah.
us better communicate and relate to the general public our discoveries and breakthroughs impact. So
Yeah. Totally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as a fellow entrepreneur, I know it's not all rainbows and unicorns. So what aspects of your job do you find more challenging or less appealing?
I would say the first thing is like a pro and a con. I will never change working for myself. Like I think I can't go back to having a boss. So I love that because I get to make my own schedule and like I can travel and like do things while I'm working. But it also means that I'm in charge of my income. So as you know, can be really hard. Like there's a lot of uncertainty that comes with that. And yeah, just knowing where my money is going to come from at any given point can be a stressor. But yeah, then there's so much payoff that it feels worth it to me. So that's kind of one of my big challenges.
Now,
Yeah.
did you, we haven't gotten into this part of your story. So did you
Yeah.
have a traditional W-2 type job before starting your own thing?
Yeah.
And so what was that transition like? Did you just cut it off cold turkey, or did you start your business while being employed elsewhere?
That's a really good question. I stayed on, so I graduated with my PhD in 2020. I did have a staff role in the same department that I graduated from for about 2 years, a little less than 2 years. And during that time, I mean, I published all my frameworks for organizational change during my grad school life. So after I graduated, a lot of people were like reading my papers and reaching out to me to work with them. And so while I was staff, I was like, oh, this might be like a feasible thing for me to do. I would actually like be interested in figuring out how to do consulting as my own job. So I did have a moment where I was working a lot to like see it how to start a business and like figure out what that would look like. But yeah, I was supported by this income that I had as a staff, and then eventually I just left and took the leap, which was really cool.
Yeah. How did you know it was time to take that leap?
You know, as I was finishing my last answer, I was like, how did I know? I had a client that was that I was working with that wasn't like full-time or anything, but it was like bringing in substantial supplementary income. So that was like a big part of it. I felt like some trust in the fact that I could continue making money. And yeah, there was also actually some like really deep misalignment in the staff role that I was in. And I just didn't feel like it was the place for me anymore. And so I was going to start looking for a job anyway. And then I was like, well, this is working. So I'm just going to do it. I can always try and find another job afterwards if it doesn't work out.
It is kind of helpful to take the leap when you're both being pulled and pushed to make that transition versus just one happening. We tend to second guess. And so blessing in disguise that it was not a well-aligned position prior, which is also super typical for so many of us early career professionals that are just trying to figure it out and testing things out and taking opportunities as they come. And then we start to realize what we don't want as much as what we do.
Totally.
So let's go back in time a little bit. Obviously, you didn't see yourself doing this when you were a little girl growing up. So tell us a little bit about the first thing you remember ambitiously wanting to be, and then how that shifted over time.
Wow, the first thing I remember, like the first thing in my life. Yeah.
I mean, my kid was a garbage truck driver. That's what he wants to do right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yep.
I actually was a competitive figure skater for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, from age 3 to like 16. So actually my mom recently, I just had a birthday a couple weeks ago, and my
happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, my mom sent me a video of me skating when I was like 5, and it was really cute. So I was like set on going to the Olympics and like retiring at age 30, which is already what I've passed. So, but yeah, that didn't happen. So that was my first career.
with that said, I have yet to have a guest on this show that we haven't been able to find a through line that has gone from the childhood dream to now. So we'll see how that unfolds.
Yeah.
But okay, so you didn't end up pursuing that, going to the Olympics, being a professional skater. So what was kind of that next shift? When did you shift out of that desire into a new objective?
I went to a K through 12 high school. I grew up in Miami, which also is like maybe counterintuitive for ice skating, but whatever.
It is a little bit.
We had an indoor rink like right next to my house. So my K through 12 school actually had a lot of really amazing science classes. And I think in like maybe 10th grade or so, which, in the US is when you're like 14, 15, maybe 15. I had an anatomy class, and questionable liability things back then, but like we dissected a fetal pig in this class, like for like the second semester of the year. We like had these fetal pigs that we were working on in groups. There was like maybe 7 pigs and like whatever divided by how many students we were. And I fell in love with the body. Like head first was like, if I don't work with the body in my life, I will be sad. So it turned me on to medicine. I thought I wanted to be a doctor, like a medical doctor. And then I started shadowing. I like literally that semester, I was like, I need to work in a hospital. I was like volunteering all the time. I got into like shadowing so much that I was like sitting in on surgeries at the hospital that I was working in, and like, I just loved it. I did it all through undergrad too. And then I guess I had a couple of study abroad experiences where I realized that the healthcare system outside of the US is often more supportive in the ways that I would have envisioned myself contributing to medicine. And so I was kind of like, I don't know if the US really is the place that I would want to be a doctor. I don't know if I'm ready to leave the US, like all these things. So that kind of happened in undergrad while I was pre-med. And then I decided that I wanted to stay in science and somehow make that my route into working with the body. So I ended up majoring in neuroscience and chemistry. So that was kind of my shift from medicine into the hard sciences, or whatever we call it now. Yeah. And then I had some really cool undergrad research experiences in neuro. Was in love with the brain also. I'm still in love with the brain. The brain and the nervous system are incredible. But I decided that I didn't actually want to continue working with animals for grad school because it was really tough. Like ethically, I didn't feel good about it. And also depending on an animal model for data collection is really challenging. And a little bit like disheartening and really hard emotionally. So I decided that that was not going to be my route. And so I went into chemistry for grad school. But here we are. Now I work with the nervous system. So
back around.
But I came back around.
Living, walking beings. Yeah. So when you did switch to chemistry, what were you sort of envisioning there? Were you envisioning being analytical chemist or organic chemist or being in biopharma, or what did you predict might be your path?
That's a great question. I was a physical chemist in grad school. I had one of my other undergrad research experiences was basically like instrumentation in physical chemistry. So I was like deconstructing and rebuilding a mass spectrometer with my first chemistry undergrad advisor. And I loved it. I was like, wow, this is a part of engineering that I never thought I would get into. Really loved it. So when I went to grad school, I kind of continued a similar scope of work, but the path after that would have been like making lasers or like working in industry as like more of a mechanical chemist or engineering chemist. And I actually don't think I would have liked that. So the way that my career trajectory ended up shaping out, just like, I feel like the universe gave me like a really beautiful trajectory.
And what makes you say that you probably wouldn't like it?
I think doing a 9 to 5 just doesn't work for me. Yeah. And I think post COVID, I'm realizing also that like going into work also maybe wouldn't work for me. Like I love the flexibility of, I love the flexibility of being able to be home and like, travel when I need to for clients or otherwise. And so.
Yeah. And I don't imagine you'd want to create a chemistry lab in your house. So that
No.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so cool. Well, interestingly enough, and I'm curious if you see the same thing or maybe something else. One of the through lines that I see, even from figure skating, is there's so much body awareness involved in that sport. And now hearing how you talk about somatic coaching and what that's like, it's so much of the same. It's just an awareness of your body and where your tension's being held and the other elements. But what do you see as maybe a through line?
Oh, that's such a good point. Thank you for naming that. That's really cool. Yeah. I feel like actually the through line, and I'll say why after I say this, but is more just like I've never felt like I'm inflexible to change. Like I feel like I'm so curious and I'm such an adventurous person that I really love like the exploration of what I could do or what I could be. And so like even through the story of like falling in love with something and then being like, oh, but I wonder like where it'll take me if I go this route. I feel like that has been more of my through line. But that being said, I think that has also really interwoven with my connection and like exploration of my own body. And I think I look back on ice skating and I actually feel like that sport is really toxic. And I don't know if I'm going to get hate for saying this publicly, but like, there's so much body awareness involved and so much like strength building and so much like knowing of your own inner like center of gravity and like all this stuff, but it doesn't really reward like individuality. And the first time I ever saw that was actually this year's Olympics, and it blew my mind and I was so in love. I was like, oh, it would be so cool to be in the sport now. But back then it was like really, it was kind of just like you do the thing, you are the person, you like win the competitions and then you're successful. Yeah. Which is kind of how science is too.
Yeah. Well, it sort of reminds me of like, if you ask any student, right, what's your favorite class? They'll tell you their favorite class. And you'll ask why. More than half the time, it's because of the professor or the teacher that had a big influence on that. And I think about that with your journey story too, in that the sport of figure skating back then was very rigid. It's like, this is the way you do things, and you had no flexibility, which is probably why you love being your own boss now and having total freedom and flexibility, right? You're like, I'm out of that system. And but then the topic of the body awareness and the beauty of the shapes you can create with your body and what it's capable of, that topic has held your interest all the way through. And so that's pretty exciting. And I just encourage anyone listening right now that the setting in which you're exploring a topic matters as much as the topic itself. So try not to dismiss a topic because of the setting you're in. Try another setting. And then if you still hate the topic, all right, cool. But then you'll know before giving up on your dreams. And I see it a lot in medicine, right? People hate working in the hospital or vice versa. And they think they made a mistake going to med school. And before you throw away that whole plan, try another setting, small family practice, maybe. And it could be totally different.
It comes back to what you said at the very beginning of like, it's so hard to be on a path to change yourself or like explore yourself when the container is really rigid. And like, that's part of why I work on both sides of change, because the organization can't change without the individuals changing, but also individuals that are like growing and exploring themselves and changing in ways that lead them to feel like they're happier and thriving. They can't thrive to their greatest capacity if they're being like contained and shut down by an organization or by systems like, you know, the world we live in. So it's really, it's a cool thread to pull out.
Yeah. This is like a mini coaching session itself.
Yeah.
Go figure. Love it. This is what happens when two coaches get together. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But all right.
Yeah.
Well, super cool. And so just to reorient all of us so that we can follow this journey, can you just highlight the major milestones along it? So high school on, what were the major pivots or positions you took?
Yeah. So I graduated high school and went to college at University of Washington in Seattle. I ended up starting as pre-med, but then graduated, left pre-med, but then graduated as a chemistry and neuroscience double major. And then I took a gap year, which I support everyone doing. Take your time. You don't need to rush the way society tells you to. And then I chose to go to grad school for chemistry. And then I went to UC Berkeley. And then I graduated with my PhD in chemistry in 2020. And then I had this dual dissertation, which I was the first to do at Berkeley. I had like half my dissertation in chemistry, like laser making and like mechanics of physical chemistry. And then I also had this education piece around like helping the department change its culture and statistically significant change in our community data. So it was really, that's kind of what led me to do the consulting. And I'm so proud of Berkeley proud of me and proud of Berkeley for giving me that opportunity. So good. Yeah.
Wow. We are more similar than I even realized. So my PhD dissertation sounds a lot like that. So my first 2 chapters was all about, bog turtle genetics and looking at population health. But then my 3rd chapter was this total wild card of like, how do you educate and communicate conservation to the public? So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And so my department they kind of, allowed me to do that so I could accept my dream job a year earlier than I intended to leave.
That's so cool.
So it all worked out in the end. But I think that interdisciplinarity is just the reality of the world we live in. And so I hope that more grad programs sort of adopt and welcome that type of diversity, because look where it led you.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't have had the same degree of opportunities with organizations to do that work if you hadn't established yourself as an expert, with those publications and that experience.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I so agree.
Yeah. So I want to give you a chance to, drop any extra pearls of wisdom here for our listeners. What advice would you give to someone? Let's imagine that they're sort of in a similar position as you. They've tried a few different traditional STEM disciplines and it's just not sitting right. It's just not feeling aligned. What advice do you have to those folks about making a pivot and helping encourage them?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think trusting our gut in science is a little bit underrated. I think people tend to just see like the path that has been set out by the way that we're supposed to grow as a scientist. So the first thing is like, if you are feeling that like, oh, this isn't working for me, trust that. Like, I think there's so much beauty in like trusting your body for your own wisdom of like what works for you and what may not work for you. And then the second part of it is it's always hard to see how your life will change and how it will work out for you. So like trust that it will, and like trust that there is so much more than you could possibly imagine on the other side of a decision that feels really hard. And like, I know that saying that is like, oh yeah, I should trust the universe for things to work out for me. And in the moment you're like, everything is horrible. I don't know what I'm doing. Where am I going? Like, but on the other side of that, there is always more for you. Yeah.
One of my favorite coaching questions is, which decision would you regret more? It's the front porch conversation. So you're 70 years old, rocking on your front porch. You're looking back at your life. Would you regret not making this pivot, or would you regret doing it and not sticking with the original field? And that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Such wonderful words of wisdom. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chrissy. I really appreciate you sharing this insight with our audience. And I'm excited to dive even deeper in our extended interview.
Yes, me too.